How would I compare Frankel with Mill Reef, who's the horse my father trained to win the Derby, the Eclipse, the King George and the Arc? Frankel is a different build and a different sort of horse, much more power about him, much more raw speed. I think Mill Reef had a very great ability to cope with all sorts of ground and had a very sort of floaty stride and was quite a small, compact horse and could quicken really well. But for me, certainly in my sort of proper memory of watching horses race, Frankel is the most impressive that I have ever seen, so I would put him at #1 of all time. I was writing the book at about this time last year, and there were moments that made me really break down and cry. I mean, when you're writing about your pets and you cared so much about them, and you're writing about, you know, the manner in which a dog or a horse died, and it upset you then, it upsets you even more in a way when you bring it all back, because you have to remember the detail of what happened, which at the time quite often you block out. And I talked to Michael Morpurgo, the great children's author, the writer of War Horse, and I said to him, do you cry when you're writing? And he said, oh, all the time. He said, if you're not crying, your readers won't cry. So there was a lot that was quite upsetting to relive. And then there was loads that made me laugh, and so much that I enjoyed. And remembering, for example, remembering the years when I was riding in amateur races and how much fun we had, you know, that made me laugh a lot. And it's quite fun to try and write in a comic way and get the timing or the rhythm of the words right so that something is amusing when you read it on the page. So, for example, the sausage incident with the Queen becomes it becomes funnier because you know it's going to happen, and the trick as a writer is to sort of hold off the punchline for just the right amount of time that you kind of laugh more when it happens. So it was great. It was great fun doing it, and I'd certainly want to write another book. I don't know what about yet, but I loved doing it. And for me, really, of everything I've ever done, this is the achievement of which I'm proudest of, because it has most of me in it. You know, everything else, obviously, that I present on television is all about the event, which is great to be there, and I enjoy it hugely. But it's not about me, nor should it be about me. The book is my work, and all my work. And for that reason, I'd sort of hold it up and say, yeah, that's me. My favourite view is as you drive through Kingsclear and you've got red brick buildings and a little white cottage on your left. As you come through the high street, the downs, our downs, where the horses are trained, emerge, sort of framed by the cottages of the village. And I love that view because that means I'm home, and that's, you know, sort of more about what it looks like, or less about what it looks like and more about how it makes me feel. It's beautiful as well. I'd probably choose, and this is a sort of, well, okay, two choices. One, I'd love to have Denman. I know he's really grumpy in the box and all of that, but I'd love to ride Denman, you know, take him drag hunting or go point to pointing on him. It would be such a thrill to ride him. The horse that I cared most about as a racehorse, that I cared about, that I really felt a sort of emotional connection with, was Knock Knock. I've written about him in the book, but I mean, I rode him. I think I rode him in maybe 10 races, and we won 5 of them, and we were second in the others, and only once did he finish out the first 4 or something. He was fantastic, and he was such a sweet horse to be around. Hated other horses, but he loved people, and I loved him, and he was just very gentle. He loved to be kissed, and he liked polos, and all those soft things that you want from a horse that you're going to keep forever. I think any sport that thinks it's fine as it is probably going to start losing fans quickly, because I think you always have to be looking at ways of improving, and obviously technology improves, you know, out of all recognition, and we wouldn't have been doing a Facebook Q&A 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and racing has to keep ahead of the curve in the way it communicates with the people that enjoy it. I think also in many ways, it's a very interesting sport to promote, and I regard myself as a presenter of it, as somebody who does promote racing, because when I turn up and say, watch this, I need to make you want to watch it. So essentially, of course, I'm promoting it. But if I compare it to swimming, which I presented in the summer at the Olympics, now swimming is a very hard sport, and a sport that people don't, you know, hard sport to connect with, because the competitors come out and they've got swimming caps on, they've got goggles on, and when they're racing, they're face down in the water. actually not dissimilar to horse racing. And also there are a lot of races and there are different competitors in every one, and you need to give people a reason to care. The difference between them is there's no real betting in swimming. We certainly don't sell the sport, and there is betting on it, but you won't see the odds. With racing, it's become all about betting. And actually the best promoters of racing are the bookmakers, because they know how important it is. And I think those of us who are not bookmakers, and they do a very, very good job, we need to use their brain power to help promote the sport to a non-punting public as well. And it's interesting, I think the other area that racing could really improve is the event experience. So better use of the big screens, better promotion of the jockeys in particular, and maybe having a data bank of profile pieces that would go on those big screens. I mean, to be honest, I could go on about this for an hour because I have loads of ideas on how to promote racing better. And luckily, I'll be involved with Channel 4 next year. I'll get a good bulk of race days to do, and I can try and feed some of those ideas in a way that I hope would increase attendances, improve the sort of the X factor, if you like, of racing, but improve the enjoyment factor for people and also its profile, which then feeds into better sponsors or more money from sponsors, which feeds into better prize money, which then makes everybody who works in racing be able to live a more comfortable life. And all of these things would be good to achieve, so I shall try. I'm going to start with Willie Carson, not just because it's our last day presenting together on the 20th of October, but also I think many people in racing have probably underestimated Willie's contribution and also his ability to connect with an audience that is a non-racing audience. He has an incredible warmth on camera, an amazing energy, he has great humour, and he has undeniable knowledge. There are not that many Derby-winning jockeys, multiple Derby-winning jockeys, who can be so enthusiastic and eloquent about racing, who can examine the tactics of a race, who can analyse it afterwards with as much clarity as he does. I think he has been a hugely positive part of the racing coverage on television in this country, and I think he'll be really, really missed when he's gone, and I will certainly miss him. Well, not gone, but retired, and he'll still come back, and I'm sure be a special guest, and I'll do stuff with him on certain days on Channel 4, I hope. So I would say Willie would be in my top 3. I've loved working with him. He's so generous. He's always very concerned that if when I was ill, he was very concerned about whether I was okay on days when we were presenting. He's a really kind person. I put Frankie in the top 3, Frankie Dettori. Incredibly, again, a bit like Willie, I suppose, with that energy and warmth and trying to, when they're positive, they are really, really positive. And Willie and Frankie both believe that this feeds through to the horse. And Frankie says that if you get on a horse and you absolutely fill it with confidence, that you have a much better chance of winning a race. And I think he's a great stylist, a great tactician. He's a lovely guy. I mean, he's great to be around. And he's interesting too. He's thought a lot about the racing game and about his life, and he wants to surround himself with happy people, with good people, keep himself feeling good about life, and I, good on him for that. And the other one I would say is Major Hearn, Dick Hearn, who was a great, great friend of my parents, and who I met an awful lot as a child, and in my very early years when I was writing for The Sporting Life, I used to do a Sunday feature on Sunday racing, and I remember ringing Major Hearn, and I wanted to talk to him about a runner he had in the 1,000 Guineas. And for one reason or another, the filly I wanted to talk about didn't run, so he rang me to let me know she wasn't running. And we ended up talking about his other filly, who then went and won at 20-1. So I was really thrilled with that. And he was a very committed man, and obviously he went through a lot in his life and carried on training group winners, classic winners, after he had a hunting accident which left him in a wheelchair. He was, didn't much like the press, to be honest, but he was a lovely man, and he had a really, sparkling laugh, and just a great, great trainer and a very good man. Outside of racing, well, this is going to be an eclectic mix. First of all, the Leeds Rhinos captain and New England Rugby League captain Kevin Sinfield, who is among the most generous, honest, humble, brave, hard-working sportsmen I have ever met. And I thought his performance in the Super League Grand Final was pure Sinfield because it was incredible. He looked like he'd been knocked out 1 minute, and he was certainly kneed in a place where it hurts quite a lot in the first half and went on to score a try. Then he looks like he's knocked out in the second half, and 2 minutes later is slotting a penalty over him. He's just amazing, and he's so nice with it. He's a really, really just lovely man, and he would be one of my heroes, I think. If I had a son, I'd want him to be like Kevin Sinfield. In television terms, I would pick Ellen DeGeneres, who is a presenter in America, fantastic daily chat show host, brilliant rapport with the public, great interviewer, but also an iconic figure, has done an awful lot in America just by being who she is and enjoying her life and being proud to be gay and she's happy, and she's done an awful lot, I think, to improve the attitude of the media in America, and therefore the public as well, to homosexuality, and I think she's been very influential. And I would say Ellie Simmons would definitely be a heroine. Incredible performance again at the Paralympics. Just a great attitude to what she does, and she's really young. I mean, she's still only, what is she, 18, 19? Not even that, actually. I think she's 17. She was extraordinary in Beijing when she was 13, so yes, she's 17 now. And again, this summer, I mean, you know, to deal with the sort of expectation that was around her, and she just gets on with it. She was so emotional after her first gold medal. So I'd say Ellie Simmons. I think champion, just the letters champion. Because I don't think you could get undisputed champion in as well. I think just champion. I prefer jumps racing purely because the horses are around for season after season, and also I like the locations, and the winters are slightly less busy for me in terms of other stuff going on, so I can really concentrate on it. And I love the Cheltenham Festival, and yeah, I like them. A lot of jump jockeys are good friends of mine, so I think, and that doesn't mean I don't like flat racing. Of course I like flat racing, but given the choice on a day off, which would I rather go to? I'd rather go jump racing. My dream champion stakes would have in it Frankel, Dubai Millennium, See the Stars, Mill Reef, Brigadier Gerard, In the Groove, who I loved, Zarkava, maybe, that'd be interesting. I wouldn't want too many runners. I might put in Camelot next year. Camelot as a 4-year-old, I'll be interested to see how he trains on. Monger, did I say Monger? That's a good lineup. Meeting Justin Bieber. Well, that was interesting. I was on the Jonathan Ross show with Justin Bieber and Liam Neeson and the Killers, which is quite a lineup. And Justin Bieber was sitting next to me on the sofa. He's very, very sweet. He's very polite. He's very gentle, and God, he's talented. I mean, there was a piano in the corner, and he just sits over there and is playing away. He clearly loves his music, and you know, he's a genuine talent, and started as a very young boy and singing on the side of the street. I turned to him and I said, "So, Justin, are you touring?" And he said, "No, ma'am, I'm here promoting the book and the album, and then I'm going back home." And I said, "When did you fly?" And he said, "Last night." I said, "You must be very tired." And he said, "Yeah, I'm tired." And then I couldn't really think of what else to ask him, which is dreadful. So I turned to Liam Neeson, who was on my other side, and we discussed Justin and how sweet he was. And he's absolutely lovely. If I wasn't working television, I'd probably be working in advertising, because that's nearly what I did. My guilty pleasure is chili rice crackers. Those Thai chili rice crackers, you know, the really kind of red ones. I love them. I can eat a packet